Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Let's get straight into it. First of all, I owe you all an apology if you're a Manchester United fan. I can't apologise for what I am. There's two things really. One, I react badly to things. I do react badly. I'm a Manchester United fan and I'm a bad loser and I react to the games instantly, and sometimes I say things that I mean at the time but I've not reflected on it. But ultimately I'm a bad loser. I want to win. I want Manchester United to win, and when we don't win I react like a bad loser does. And the reality is, I did a video earlier. I stand by a lot of what I've said. I'd stand by a lot of what I've said. We've drawn too many games at home to Old Trafford this season, and it's not acceptable. It isn't acceptable. There, I've said it. But what I should have taken account of, and did get lost in the moment of frustration, is that I've been quite firmly behind Mourinho all season. And from the minute we signed, we brought him to the club, and I am firmly behind him. And that means that you have to take things on the chin and back the manager. And I do back the manager, and I'm not doing it through gritted teeth or anything like that. I've had a couple of hours away from the game, been out for a meal, thought it through, and the reality is, I think we've got to be very, very careful. There's an impatience here that is totally justified. Since Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge and we won the title, we've had Moyes, who was a disaster. We had 2 years of Van Gaal, who, took us forward in some ways, but massively backwards in others. And Mourinho has not even had a full season. And he has taken on 3 years of big mistakes. And a club that has got a lot of deadwood in it, we'd all accept that, and has a mentality that just isn't what Manchester United is. And I think this season we have had some real highs, but we've also had some lows. And I remember talking about it in September, October, all season in fact, and saying we will have highs, but there are going to be more dips along the way. And today was a dip. And I suppose in some ways the draw with West Brom was harder to take but better to take. And I don't know whether that comes across correctly, so I'll explain it. But we didn't deserve to beat West Brom today. Like I said, Stoke, West Brom, all the other games that we've dropped points at home, I think we've got a 40% win rate at Old Trafford, and it's our 8th draw at home this season. Unacceptable, totally unacceptable. But today, West Brom came and parked the bus. I think tactically we got it wrong. I think some players didn't turn up, and I think there is shared responsibility for that. But before the game, last night, 2 days ago on the preview, we spoke about it and we said that actually, you know what? This game, when you look at it, could be a problem. Tony Pulis, Ross said it on the watch-along, he's a bit of a Premier League legend in a way for being the sort of manager who can grind out 0-0s and frustrate teams. Well, we've dropped a lot of points this season, we know that. But when West Brom, who are on the top half of the table, come to Old Trafford and park the bus, Pulis is the expert at it. And we've got loads of people out like Mata, Zlatan, Herrera, Pogba. It's not a disaster, that result. It's a disaster in relation to the bigger context of the season. But actually, a decent West Brom side, managed by Tony Pulis, coming to Manchester United, parking the bus and getting a 0-0 draw. It's not a shock. It's just in the context of our season, we didn't need it. We needed to win. You've got to take into account the injuries. You've got to take that into account. It's not acceptable. I'm not looking for excuses, but what I am looking for is a bit of empathy for Jose Mourinho, who I feel this season, I just think it's so important that we back him and we get behind him. And I know that means swallowing such a disappointing result, and I am disappointed by it, I really am. But above it all, and having taken a couple of hours out, and I know instant reaction, you're going to be frustrated, but having taken a couple of hours out of it, I do want to back the manager. I back the manager anyway, but I do want to get behind him and the players because there's still a lot to go for this season. And as I said in my match reaction, you know what? If we come out of this season with the Champions League football from the Europa League, or somehow from the league, which I think looks a bit difficult now, I think we should shake hands with this season and say, wow, that's amazing, because we've had so many challenges and we probably don't deserve Champions League football based on our league form and the amount of games we've drawn at home. But if we can come out of this season, if we can somehow galvanise, come together as a club and fans, and I think we are, and just somehow get ourselves through it. Anderlecht over 2 legs with the second leg at Old Trafford. We should be in a semi-final of the Europa League. If we can get through that and get to a final, we've got Champions League football, and that should be the focus. Yes, it would have been nice to get top 4 in the Premier League, but I think the Premier League has become a bit of a thorn in our claw, really. That it's just a problem. It's problematic. You could see it when we went in at half time today against West Brom. You could see that we were going to struggle in the second half. It's a mentality thing, and I do think we've got players in the squad that we are just carrying along now that they won't be here in the summer. You know, you turn to Wayne Rooney, a legend of the club. He's just not that Wayne Rooney anymore. Like I said, mind's willing, body's not giving. But what I really did want to say tonight, and something that I'm not happy with, Marcus Rashford being called Marcus Trashford, and Martial's a bottler. This is from Manchester United fans. I'm seeing this. Manchester United fans publicly putting out that Martial's a bottler and Marcus Rashford is crap. I mean, I think I often get asked, who are my 2 favourite players at Manchester United? Well, they're my 2 favourite. Rashford because he's from the youth setup, he's exciting, I love him, I think he's brilliant. And Martial, it just excites me, he's what football should all be about. And Martial, even under Van Gaal, was our best outfield player last year. And he wasn't awful today. And Rashford wasn't awful today. They could have been better, but they weren't awful. They're the sort of players that can produce something out of nothing. And I don't like that. And I think it's really important that, we have a voice as the United Stand. I have a voice as the presenter on the United Stand. But you have a voice as well, that we stick together behind the manager and behind the players. I've been critical of Fellaini. I'll put my hands up. I've been critical of Rooney, but I haven't been for weeks, because we are in a position as a club where this next couple of months are really important, and we are in a fight for top 4. We have got games in hand. It can happen. I don't think it will, but it can happen. And the Europa League, it definitely can happen. So frustration, we need to just ignore it, dig it down deep, and if the worst happens, then we can revisit in May. But we've got to get behind the club and get behind the players, and I think Herrera, Pogba, Zlatan, Mata's obviously injured, but they are big players to be without, the 3 that can come back hopefully in the next couple of games. And we can do it. We can do it. We've got to accept that all our rivals and everything are laughing at us. I'm not going to change. I am not going to change. I'm always going to be a petulant bad loser, and I will never change that. That's what I am. But when the dust settles, I back this manager and I back a lot of those players. And I certainly do back the likes of Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial and Mourinho. And I want us to do it. I want us to get there. And it was always going to be difficult. It was always going to be difficult. And I do really firmly believe that there is an impatience, an understandable impatience, because we are Manchester United and we've had a bad 3 years, potentially 4 years. This season's not been great. It's been up and down. So 4 years of not good enough after 25 years of brilliance. And, it's always swings and roundabouts. But I think the frustration with Manchester United fans is, yes, we accept there was going to be a golden period, and you're always going to have a period of time where it's not so good. But it's mistakes of the club. Mistakes of the club with bad managers, bad signings, could have been avoided. But this manager is taking over a club that's had 3 years of bad signings in the main, 3 years of bottling performances, 3 years of poor performances. And this season, we've made 4 very good signings, which is a massive improvement anyway. We've had some very, very good football at times that I think is even better than the last season we had under Sir Alex Ferguson when we won the title. But we've had dips. And we were always going to have dips, because you can't eradicate or erase the last 3 years. Those players were part of that, and that inconsistency will always be there. He will sign players in the summer. I hope we can get Champions League football. And I think, I know that Mourinho will get us where we need to be. I still believe that we will win the title next summer. But I don't normally do a video after a match reaction so soon. I normally would have left it until at least tomorrow morning when I do the ramble, or tomorrow night. But I felt it was really important to revisit tonight and let you know that I do react. Minutes after a game, seconds after a game, I react. This frustration built up on the amount of games we've drawn at home and lost points at home. But a couple of hours later, I can't help that what's coming through me, and that is an empathy towards Mourinho and an empathy towards Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial, who I read on social media getting so much stick. And it's not right. It isn't right. Mourinho's not been here a season. We gave Van Gaal 2 years, And it wasn't good at any stage in that 2 years. It was crap, absolute rubbish, and we gave him 2 years. And some people, even when we turned on him after 18 months, still wanted him to stay after 2 years. So why are people turning on Mourinho now when he's not even had a full season at the club? He's made 4 very, very good signings in Rojo, Mkhitaryan, Zlatan and Pogba. 100% success rate with transfers. We've played some of the best football we've played. We're heading in the right direction, and I think it's an unfortunate situation that unfortunately we've dropped so many points at home through bad finishing, and you've got teams who are relentless in picking up their points. Liverpool with no European football, Chelsea with no European football, Spurs getting themselves out of Europe as soon as they could to concentrate on top 4. City, obviously, they've got no European football now. It's massively against us, but we've always respected every tournament this year. We've won a League Cup. We tried in the FA Cup. We were robbed by a bad referee. We're still in the Europa League. We're still in the fight for top 4. We've had injuries. We've missed a lot of chances. And we've had a lot of bad luck. We've had some good luck, but we've had a lot of bad. I mean, look at the referees. I don't want to get into that, but we've had a lot of bad luck this season. We've had the press at the start. We're haunting Mourinho, trying to force him out. We've got to stick together as fans. We've got to stick behind this club. And I think it's very important that we do that. Today is weird. West Brom is weird because I can't sit here honestly and say that's 2 points dropped. I won't include West Brom in points dropped if we drop any more points, because I don't think we dropped points today. We didn't create enough chances to win it. It was attack against defence and defence won. But it is what it is. But I did want to just come on and just say, I know I react. It's live. Watch-alongs are live. The game is actually happening. A match reaction is within seconds at the end of it. I'm a bad loser. I'm passionate about Manchester United. I saw things today that I didn't agree with. I don't know why we kept putting crosses into the box against a team that's good at defending crosses, and we've got nobody in the box to do anything about it. But, you're always going to find an issue. And I personally do think that, I know that Sir Alex Ferguson in the last 10 minutes would have just gone with 2 at the back and 8 up front. And yeah, if we lose, we lose, but we need to win. But Mourinho, he's getting there. He's getting there. And I think it's a challenge. Ferris Odu's just made a comment there. Thanks for the contribution. He says, when will you ever make Mourinho accountable? Well, I will make Mourinho accountable. I think he made a couple of mistakes today. I think he's made mistakes this season. I look back to the Arsenal game at home and putting Rashford at left back against the fresh Chamberlain who skinned him and put the cross in for Giroud. He's bringing Fellaini on in the last 10 minutes against Everton and he gave the penalty away. He's made mistakes, Mourinho, and he's culpable for those mistakes. Managers are, but I believe that he's done a very good job at Manchester United in a very short space of time, and I do believe he will be the right man for Manchester United, and I do believe that he's one of the best, if not the best, managers in world football. And I think Manchester United is a huge, huge job. I can't understand anybody who'd be thinking they want him out. Of more concern is the criticism of Rashford and Martial. These are very, very good players, and if you're going, get rid of Martial, let's get Mbappe in, that's not what my club's ever been about. We're not about that. We're not Real Madrid. This brilliant toy. Let's not forget, Martial was our outfield player of the year last year. Not been so good this year. Let's get rid of that toy and buy a new one. I've never known Manchester United be like that. We're not like that, and I don't want our fans to become like that. And as for Marcus Rashford, he's a young lad, 19 years of age, who has had moments of brilliance even this season. It wasn't so good today, but he's against a very physical, experienced, organised back 4 on his own, and we're continually putting crosses in the box. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the situation with Manchester United. I'm not happy with the 2 points dropped today when Spurs and Liverpool have won. I'm not saying it's acceptable. Somebody on the match reaction comment was like, stop overreacting. And I did pull them up on it. I went, I'm not overreacting. It's not acceptable, the result today. It's not acceptable, the amount of games we've drawn at Old Trafford. If you call me overreacting, then I'll be an overreactor, because I know where Manchester United should be, and they should not be drawing at home to West Brom, Hull, Stoke, Burnley. If you want to accept that, then you don't really know a lot about what Manchester United are, because Manchester United should always be going for the top. Can't always win the title, but we should always be near the top. It's not acceptable, that result today. I'm not excusing it. It's unacceptable. But I'm qualifying it by saying, look, we're always going to have ups and downs this season, and we were. I think we'll win on Tuesday against Everton, who are a better team than West Brom. I think we'll win. I think we'll beat Chelsea at home in a couple of weeks. We need to be a little bit careful about that. I don't want to leave the door open for fucking Liverpool. But we'll get there. It's another low point. In many ways, tonight's the lowest point we've had in a long time, because I think that's the worst performance we've had at home this season. I think we didn't deserve to win it. It wasn't missed chances. We didn't even create the chances. So it's a step back in many ways, but you've got to just give them the benefit of the doubt, because we can still come out of this season with Champions League football. And if we do that, like I say, I'll shake hands with this season with a big smile on my face and go, let's just go for next season, because this season's been tough. There we go. Thanks everybody for watching. Get commenting below. You may agree with me, you may disagree with me, but let me know what you think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're back tomorrow night at 8:30 with the Sunday night show. I'm sure that'll be quite heated as we revisit a lot of this. I might do a ramble in the morning with Robbie, because I'm sure there'll be some transfer news. But do I think we'll finish second? I did say that, didn't I? I'm not. I have to reevaluate where we'll finish. I think we'll finish 5th. We can beat anybody on our day, but we can't beat the lower teams at home, and that's our problem. We can beat anybody on our day. We could go to Chelsea and win. We can go to City and win. We can win at the Emirates. We can win at White Hart Lane. But can you confidently say that we'll beat someone like Burnley at home? We can't. That's the consistent thing. We consistently can't beat the lower teams or the mid-table teams at home. That's the fact with United now. It's not a blip. It's not bad luck. It's a consistency that Mourinho will sort out. But back Jose, back the players. We've got to keep believing, and I do believe. I'm just disappointed, but I do believe. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Try not to let it bother you too much. Come together. We did under Van Gaal, and that was horrible. Just stick together as United fans. Ignore all the idiotic rivals. Where we are in May matters in May, and not in April. I'll speak to you soon.